What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Uncle Fulio, and I'm back with another episode of the Kontroversy, ladies and gentlemen. As always, these episodes are sponsored by Nothing But Knicks. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Also, hit the notification bell to be notified anytime we go live for you, whether it be Queens Court videos, Knicks and Bruises videos, NBA report, shoot-around videos. We're going to have a nice draft, not draft show, but free agency show tomorrow starting at 6 p.m., because we are less than 24 hours away from free agency, the beginning of free agency, ladies and gentlemen. So keep it locked in tune with MBK as we bring you the content you deserve. I am joined by my fellow MBK brethren. You got Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises, and you got the Queen. We're in the presence of royalty, ladies and gentlemen. The Queen, Steph, from Dope Soul Sports Talk in the Queen's Court. How y'all doing today?
Yeah, I was doing really good up until a moment ago when the Murray news dropped. I know we're going to talk about it. But overall, I'm pretty expectant when it comes to this front off free agency.
Okay.
So Josh, salute. Queen, salute. Chat, salute. It's been a while since I heard that intro. You know, I don't know if I've missed content out there. I've seen something recently, but it's glad to be back on with you for sure. And this controversy, I don't know if you're going to address it or if I'm going to address it, but there's a controversy out there, and it fell right into your lap. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not even going to lie to you. I know we were talking about it before we got on here. Like, you know, I was making slides for this show that I was getting ready to do because I was so excited about what the Knicks did within the past 24 hours as far as shedding all this salary cap. And what everyone was talking about, the potential for the Knicks to not only land, Brunson in free agency, but also Dejounte Murray. And without further ado, I'm just going to get to it, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news, Woj bomb. Adrian Wojnarowski tweeted around about an hour ago that the Atlanta Hawks are trading Danilo Gallinari and multiple first-round picks to the San Antonio Spurs for all-star guard Dejounte Murray. Adrian Wojnarowski follows up by saying the Hawks are sending 3 first-round picks and a future pick swap to the Spurs to pair with Murray along with all-star NBA guard Trae Young. Also, that was tweeted out right after this was the fact that 2 of those first-round picks are going to be unprotected in 2023 and 2025, and one of those picks are going to be heavily protected, as well as the pick swap in the later years. So I just want to ask you guys, and gal, guy and girl, how do you feel about this? Like, what's the first thing you think about, and just your initial reaction? I'll start with Queen, and then we'll go to Tony.
Yeah, I mean, my initial reaction was was disappointment. I like Brunson, but I like Murray better. And we have the assets, so 3 first-round picks, in a pick spot, whatever Atlanta did, I felt like we could have did as well. The only thing I'll say is that I, for one, didn't want both Brunson and Murray, because I felt like just one of them, and let's use those assets to get a star, because neither one of them, in my opinion, at least at this point, is a star. I didn't want both of them. But if I had to choose, I wanted Murray, and somebody brought this up in the super chat, Josh, you'll read it later. I'm hoping that the Knicks and these family ties and their connection to Brunson didn't play into them not going after the best player. I'm hoping that wasn't the case.
All right, Tony.
So Queen, you literally it's like you was eavesdropping before you even jumped into the panel, because I was telling Josh the exact same thing when he was asking about Murray's fit alongside Young, and then also Murray's fit with this roster. And my exact words was your words. I thought him as a standalone acquisition and doing whatever it took to get him, I would have been a lot happier than the 2 of them combined, him and Brunson. And like you said, we have the assets to do it. As far as first round picks, I told Josh I would have gave 5, I would have gave 6. You know what I mean? And
hyperbole alert.
but realistically, I wasn't joking. because you figure the three protected that we have next year, technically 4 protected if you count Dallas, because I believe that's slightly protected, right?
It is.
1 through
Yes.
4, something like that. So we could have gave four protected. Those 4 right there still had our own pick next year. At that point, without adding anything else, we have all our picks moving forward. So you pick which one you want moving forward, or you pick which one you want to hold on to. Maybe you want to hold on to next year, your own next year. So you give them the 4 protected, and then 2024, 2025, 2023. You know what I mean? Like it's all, excuse me, not 2023, but it's all out. It's all available. And if they want 2023, yeah, you give them all 5 that we have for next year, because I believe he's better than anybody that we would draft. Coming into a rookie season. So I agree. I think he's the better player. And I do believe the writing was already on the wall for Brunson. And at that point, how do you back down? How do you back out? You know what I mean? I don't know if they knew Murray was available before they started doing what they were doing to prepare for Brunson. So I don't know if you still consider that them choosing him over him, but I think the choice was already made. And then it becomes like, do you keep it as a business and say, all right, nothing was signed, nothing's on paper, I'm going after the best guy? Or do you keep it as a good, I guess you want to say, moral business practice and honoring maybe something that wasn't on paper yet? Long-winded, my bad.
Yeah, and that's where tampering comes in, because if you hadn't made this deal, then you could pivot. You know.
Well, I mean, I'll just say this, and let me read the super chat first, and I want to address both of y'all points. Salute to 1975 Jamrock. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Says that Murray's going to Atlanta for Gallo and multiple picks leads me to question Sam Rose, Leon's son, being Jalen Brunson's agent and willing to overpay for him. So listen, I know, Steph, you brought up the fact about, the family atmosphere, and the Knicks are using their relationships to get players, but I think in the NBA, that's exactly what it is, right? And there's no doubt in my mind that the Knicks use their relationships to get Jalen Brunson. No doubt in my mind, bringing in his dad, even though I don't think that was the end-all be-all, but I just think the connections were way too strong with the organization, with Thibodeau, with Leon Rose, for Jalen Brunson. I wanted both of them together, so I'm saying their names together. I think the connections were way too strong for Jalen Brunson not to be a Knick. But I think that we're getting a good player, Jalen Brunson. No doubt in my mind. I know you're not questioning that at all. To me, I just feel like Jalen Brunson's a better fit for what the Knicks have right now. You're talking about a guy who is not going to dominate the basketball. He can come in, plug in that spot. You're not necessarily going to take possessions away from RJ. You're not going to take possessions away from Randall. He's just someone that can come in and easily fit into what the Knicks are already doing. He's not going to take a ton of shots, but when he does shoot the basketball, he's going to be very efficient from the field. Doesn't turn it over that much. To me, I think it's the best fit for what the Knicks currently have. Now, don't get me wrong. Dejounte Murray is the better player. And I think if we were to get someone like Dejounte Murray, everyone else on the team would have to acquiesce and make him the guy, because he would instantly be the best player on the team. To Tony's point about the first-round picks that we have, particularly the ones that we got in this trade for Kemba Walker, the one that we did during draft night, that wouldn't be enough to get Dejounte Murray. Precisely because the Hawks gave away 2 unprotected first-round picks. Those 3 picks that we got during draft night are heavily protected. I'm talking top 15, top 18 protected, right? And I know you said add some other stuff with it as well, but
we could have added the 2 unprotected as well. That's what I mean. So
I got you. I got you.
It makes it better.
But I think Atlanta's quality of picks would have been better than that package that you put out there. Now we could have done something else. We could have did like multiple years or did something like that, but just the centerpiece of that trade being the 3 first-round picks that we got from the draft night, to me, that wouldn't get it done because the quality of those picks aren't the same as what Atlanta did. Now, we could have did something else as far as maybe throw Fournier in there and then, 3 first-round picks, but mix the years up. I think that probably could have worked. But like you said, I think at that point, we're all in on Brunson. And listen, the Knicks still are in good shape. We're still in good shape from a cap perspective. And I'm going to talk about the Knicks cap and what we have to move forward. But I think we're still in really good shape. The fit with Brunson and Murray, what do you think about that fit? I mean, I know it can't happen now, but why were you guys high on that potentially, or why not?
I thought it could fit. I mean, just like they're doing with Trae Young in Atlanta. It's not that it's a bad fit. I just didn't want to give up cap space and assets for two players where one of them is not a star. I wanted to take one of them and then use whatever we have left to get that guy. But can they play together? Yeah, I think Brunson and Murray could play together. I just didn't want both of them because I think it would limit our ability to go out and get a star. I thought so anyway.
Tony?
I agree with most of what Queen said. I think they can play together. We could have figured it out for sure. My preference was just one of them, preferably Murray, and then trying to build with somebody else. I think Murray can be a star, so I think he's that good. We're still right now with this move though. It's just pieces to the puzzle. So again, we're not in a bad spot. I wouldn't be against them going both of them together, but I just think one of them is a better fit for Murray. You know what I mean? Like if it was just Murray here without Brunson, better fit. I think that would have been the best fit, honestly. But him with Trae, I also believe can work. But I think that works better than it does with Brunson.
But here's my question though. You mentioned Murray being the best fit here. I don't know if it's the best fit. I think he's the best player, no doubt. But the best fit, because to me, I'm thinking of if the Hawks gave up Gallinari in that trade, we're talking $17, $18 million. Fournier's making that right now. And I believe both Gallinari and Fournier's contract end around the same time. Not next offseason, but the following one. Right? So I'm looking at that kind of a player, right? And there's no doubt Fournier had a better season last year than Gallinari. So let's say we throw him in there and we get back Murray plus the picks or whatever combination you want to do. Where's the shooting going to be at in that lineup? Like if you get rid of Fournier and you bring in Murray, like where's the shooting going to come from? We're talking Murray with RJ, with Randall. Like, I mean, are you saying put Quentin Grimes in the starting lineup? I mean, even with Brunson, it's terrible because let's say you get rid of Fournier, you bring back Murray plus the picks or whatever, and where's the shooting at? You know what I mean?
I think you could have went with Grimes or Quickly, and that's because of Murray's defensive ability to actually play defense on a two guard if you need Quickly to play defense on the one. So I think that because of his defensive ability, you could have plugged in Quickly. You could have plugged in Grimes, and now you're not even worried about who's guarding the one and who's guarding the two, because I think Grimes is going to be fine doing either one. And the reason I think he fit better is we talk about his triple double or close to average triple double, but let's not act like I think defense might be his best attribute.
Tony, to be honest with you, I wasn't even concerned about the defense. To me, the Knicks defense is fine. Like they're fine, no matter who we got on the floor. Whether we got Kemba, whether we got Fournier. Now it's not the best, but we're top 10 in all defensive categories. I'm looking at the offense, and I'm looking at what the Knicks are going to be able to produce offensively.
I think our defense could have been better than 2 years ago with him at the point. So that means a lot.
Grimes, but is it good enough? Yeah, go ahead.
I mean. Good enough for what?
But I mean, listen, 5 is good. It's being ranked 5 in defensive rating going to get you more than being ranked 2 in defensive rating. I mean, at some point, your defense is just good enough. So if you're ranked number 5, that's good enough. Moving up to 2, I mean, are you going to get more wins out of that?
So you don't think removing Fournier that Grimes or Quickly could fill his role offensively? Fournier's role offensively.
Yeah.
I think either one of them could fill in fine for Fournier. Right. So I'm not worried about losing Fournier and his
No.
shooting.
I am concerned. But let me just answer Josh question, if I may, about Brunson's Murray's fit. We are moving around, chairs on the deck, trying to figure out who is going to fit with this poorly constructed roster. You get the best players, and then you retool the roster around them. So I agree with you, Josh. With this particular roster, Murray, he can't shoot. You got RJ Barrett, you got Julius Randle, we signed Mitchell Robinson back. 3 players who operate below the 3-point line. So I agree with you. If we're going to keep this team as it is, Murray is not a good fit. But I'm not thinking about keeping this team as it is. I'm thinking about bringing in Murray, who you can argue would be the best player on our team. And then what do you need to put around him for him to be successful? And newsflash, we're going to have to do that with Brunson too. He likes to operate in the key. The key is still crowded. So we're going to have to open things up and get some spacers for him as well.
And that's a good point, Queen, because now, listen, the Murray thing is a done deal now. I know Knicks fans were hoping that we would get him. I know you especially definitely wanted him. I definitely was considering bringing him here, but it's a done deal now. And I think now that, that's kind of off the table now, there's still some options available for the Knicks in free agency starting tomorrow at 6 p.m. We're less than 24 hours away, ladies and gentlemen, until free agency begins, right? Until we can officially sign Jalen Brunson to a contract. I think Ian Begley predicted that tomorrow at around 6:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when Woj tweeted out, and then Ian Begley will tweet it out, or what have you. But I just want to show everybody what the Knicks have moving forward, and this is after they made the Noel, Kemba, and Burks trade. Newsflash, everybody! For everyone that thought that signing the veterans last season to small minimal contracts and that they were so untradeable because you didn't like those players. Newsflash: the Knicks got rid of all these salaries for basically nothing, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty much nothing. One of the second round picks that they gave back to Detroit was top 55 protected. Top 55 protected. There's only 60 draft picks in the draft, and one of them was top 55 protected, right? So coming into yesterday, the Knicks had about $12 million in cap space because of the Kemba trade and what they did on draft night. So they were at 110. The projected NBA salary cap is 122, and then they freed up about $19 million in cap space for trading away Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel to Detroit. Gave them their second-round picks back, gave them 2 second-round picks, and now we're free another $19 million. So right now the Knicks are sitting at $31 million in cap space, ladies and gentlemen. $31 million, right? And let's say, hypothetically, and I think this will happen, they're going to waive Taj Gibson. They're probably going to sign him a little bit later, but waive him to free up an extra $5 million. We're talking $35 to $36 million in cap space the Knicks have. Now, as widely expected that the Knicks are going to sign Jalen Brunson to a 4-year contract in excess of $110 million, that's going to put them at between 25 and 27 and a million, $27.5 million for Jalen Brunson per season, right? So we're looking at about $9 million in cap space if that 4 years, 110 is still remaining to be true. The Knicks own 11 first-round picks in the next 7 years, ladies and gentlemen. 11 first-round picks in the next 7 years. So there's been some talk going around. Do you think $27.5 million for Jalen Brunson is enough per season? 4 years, $110 million. Do y'all think that's a fair enough contract for him? The deal is pretty much done. Right now, the question is the number. So what do you think about the number?
You're asking if it's good enough or if it's too good?
Either one. Give me your take on it. How do you feel about it?
I'm gonna say this without answering your question. I'm gonna say I think part of that money is gonna be incentive based. So I think his per year amount is gonna be a little bit less than 27. I think we're overpaying, but I think we agreed that we were gonna have to overpay for whomever we get. At the very least, at least we're overpaying for a position that we've been in dire need of, like forever. Again, he should be the best point guard we've had. I don't know if you want to include Jason Kidd, but I'll say since Marbury, Felton. If you valued Felton, when before the Melo trade, So that was some time. But I think we did overpay. Or we're gonna overpay. But I'm
I
not
don't
mad
think
about it.
so. I just uploaded the point guard salaries for next year, and Brunson would rank 14th. At if he gets anywhere between 25 and 28 million, he would be ranked 14th. Like Steph Curry is 52. Shai Alexander Gilchrist is 7 at 35. He would be 14. That's in line. And right below him at 15 would be Rozier at 24. So I just think that the point guard market, I think
Boom.
if you see it, I don't know, Josh, if you want to pull it up. I know it's your show, so I didn't want to put it in there.
No, did you put it? You can
I
put it in there.
yeah.
You saying?
Oh, I see it. I got you.
You saying it's fair or?
I think it's I think it's fair. This is a little blurry, but if you can see, Darren Fox is number 9 at 32 million. Chris Paul is number 11 at 30 million. He would be that where that blue line is. He would be number 14, right below Kyle Lowry, who's number 13 at 28 million. So when you look at these salaries and what point guards are making, I think it's fine. I don't think it's an overpay at all. But I agree with you. If the Knicks had to overpay, you got to do it, just because we've just been in this point guard doldrum for such a long time. But I'm not sure it's an overpay when you look at these salaries.
What I will say is this: the list is a little skewed, but I think it still makes your point very valid, because I think some guys on the list, I think Brunson's going to be paid for what he's going to do, where some of these guys are being paid for what they've done already. Some of these guys are being paid for what they are projected, you know what I mean? Like what you think they might do.
But that's the same with Brunson, though, for what he might do.
I think
that goes to show you what the market is.
I think Brunson's pretty consistent. Like I don't know if you're gonna. I don't think he's gonna come out here and surprise us. You know what I mean? I think his point. If I had to guess, I think he might give us 20 to 22 points a game.
I wasn't even expecting that. If
I wasn't
he
even
gives us
expecting
22 points a game, I'm good.
Well, no, I think we could kind of bank on a minimum of 20 points a game.
And at 20 points a game, you don't think 28 million is I was thinking right now he's averaging 16 points. I was
thinking something like that.
5 rebounds, 5 assists, something like that. But he's very efficient. 50% from the field in the regular season, 37% from 3, 84% from the free throw line. He doesn't need to take 1,000 shots to get 20 points.
Doesn't turn the basketball over.
And all of the intangibles. Rozier is getting 24 and less. And I read this on Twitter. When Terry Rozier signed his contract, he was averaging less than 10 points per game when he signed that contract. He signed it based on what he was going to do.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I think it's all right. Actually, I'm changing my stance. It's at the very least fair value
for what he's done. 41 points in the playoff. Look how he struggled against Atlanta.
Listen, I wasn't mad at the money. I'm just saying 20. I would prefer 20 under 25, and then if you want to do the incentives to reach that 27, you know what I mean? Because like y'all saying, we still got to build, and
I don't think it stops us. I don't think 2 or 3 million.
I'll address that. I'll address those concerns right after this super chat, Queen. Salute to Jimmy Bacchus. Thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, with our current moves, we get a point guard and the flexibility to add to the team. Hard to add Murray if you're using your best assets to get him. I agree with that, but I think one would argue that Atlanta didn't use their best assets. I mean, they used a couple picks, but they didn't have to give up John Collins. It was widely reported that John Collins was going to be the one that they would send out and to get Dejounte Murray back. Not to mention, I think in 2 years, Dejounte Murray's contract is going to be up, and he's going to seek max money because he's an all-star player. So you're looking at over $35 million a season for Dejounte Murray. So that's what's going to happen. But thank you for that super chat. But let me just address these concerns about the money. And people often like when you hear that $20 million number or that $100 million number, particularly with the Knicks, people just lose their minds and they go crazy because that big round figure number is what has gotten the Knicks in trouble before. But people are not understanding the context of what's going on with the Knicks salary cap. First of all, the Knicks are right now $36 million right now $30 to $31 million underneath the salary cap. You sign Brunson for 27.5, you still have money to spend in free agency. You can go over the cap to sign your own guys. Not to mention, no one's talking about the possibility of signing trade. We can sign a trade for a player like Jalen Brunson, give up some assets, give up, some picks or whatever, and still have all that cap space to pursue somebody else, a la Zach LaVine, right? And if we spend that money, the Knicks will still be operating $10 million over the salary cap. That's nothing in today's NBA. Like, that's not even anywhere close to luxury tax money or anything like that. So the Knicks are in a really good financial situation. Like, about paying Jalen Brunson $25 million, which, as Queen proved, it's not a lot of money. That's what the market is dictating for him, and he's going to get that easily, and I think he's going to deserve it. Like, the Knicks are going to be in a fine financial situation. This is not a situation where the Knicks are operating at the luxury tax and they're not going anywhere. They're stuck in purgatory. They have contracts that no one wants. It was proven throughout the last couple of days that teams will take on some money, just to fill some roster spots or whatever. It's been proven. So this whole notion of the Knicks, being in a position where they can't overpay anybody, I just disagree with it. I think we need to spend money. You don't be successful in the NBA by playing cheap. You just don't. Look at the top teams in the NBA and what they're spending on their salary cap. You don't win in the NBA by being cheap. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I agree. If they, to your point, if they're signing him with salary cap money, we still have young players. We still have draft picks to go out and get a star if should one become available. I mean, and if not, we may have to live with just Brunson being the only upgrade. And you know what my fear is? That people are expecting, because Brunson is making so much money, that they're expecting him to come in and be a savior and take us, to the player. And then if he doesn't do that, now here come the Boo Birds. He's one piece. The Knicks still have to go out and get the piece. They have to do that. We just getting Brunson first. He would work better on a team that's pretty much formed already, and he's that last piece. But you can get him first. It doesn't matter, the order, and now go out and get your stars.
Yeah, I agree. Tony?
I mean, I'm not mad if somebody is out there and they expect a lot from him. Obviously, I expect more than you guys saying he's going to average a minimum of 20 points per game. So maybe I'm higher on him than some others. Even though I said it is an overpay. My thing is I think he's a good fit. I think he's a good upgrade, and he's going to change a lot for the team. What if he is that piece? That's my question. What if he is that guy? Like
it'll shock the hell out of everybody, because I don't think anybody's expecting that. That'll be
even the Knicks. Even the Knicks.
Even
there was reports that they don't expect him to be a savior.
I think when I read that, I thought that was them trying to save him a little bit. You know what I mean? Because they know the media's expectation or the media's magnifying glass is gonna be on him now. You know what I mean? As the new addition, I think that was that why they said that. But
I hope not,
I think
they
this team
expected more.
I think this team is a better team than the Mavs if you remove Luka, and that's why I'm so confident in what he's going to be able to do on this squad.
So, I don't know about 20 points per game. I think that's way too high, and I think that is. I mean, if he gets that, that's great. I definitely would take that. Every day of the week. But you're talking about someone who averaged 16 His points has been going up. I think it was 10 and 14 and then 16. For him to go up to 20 points per game, I don't see that in his game and his repertoire. I think he would have to be a volume shooter in order to get up to that level. And I just don't want him to be that guy. I don't want him to be that person scoring 20 points per game. And the whole theory behind us getting someone like that's not going to dominate the basketball is because you want RJ to be that person. You want RJ to be the person to score and knock down shots and be a volume scorer and a volume shooter. And I think adding Brunson assists with that. If you added someone else who is now in Atlanta, that could potentially take away shots and take away ball handling from RJ. So if that's Knick fans out there that want RJ to be the guy, right? You added someone to this team who's not going to take shots away from him. I promise you that. You don't have to worry about Jalen Brunson calling for the basketball. You still got to worry about Randall probably, but you ain't got to worry about that with Jalen Brunson.
I mean, if RJ is going to be the guy, he's got to be more efficient. Otherwise, I want the ball in the more efficient guys here. And right now, that's Brunson.
But what I will say, to your point, Tony, maybe because he's efficient, maybe he can get to 20. He's not going to need a lot of shots to do it.
That's why I asked you, or let me ask it in question form. Do you think our team currently constructed or our players, do you think it's a better roster if you look at Brunson on the Mavs with Luka removed? Because that's when Brunson was able to play. I think that's the role he will play for us. The role he played on the Mavs when Luka was out. And that's why I think 20 points easy. He was still efficient, and I don't think his shot attempts jumped more than 3 or 4. You know what I mean? During those games in which Luka didn't play. And I think he averaged 27 without Luka. So to say 20 here, I think that's
But
very
I will say
feasible.
Dallas offense there were floor spaces on that team. So he was able to hit from the 3. He was able to go into the lane. It depends on how we construct this roster, how we construct our offense, if he's going to be able to wheel and deal the same way over here.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, listen, like I said, I don't see it happening. Listen, the Knicks still need to add some shooting. I think we can get better. I mean, we got Fournier still. We still got Grimes coming off the bench. Who knows if RJ is still gonna up his shooting numbers and become that guy? We still don't know. It's still a lot to figure out, and we definitely hope so. I do want to highlight this. Yeah, and don't forget about Cam Reddish as well. Definitely a piece off the bench. So I know we're talking about the Knicks and free agency tomorrow. There's some guys that are going to be available. Right? And salute to Jerry Figueroa. He says that Bradley Beal declined his offer with DC. How do you see the Knicks pursuing him? Now, I know it's been widely reported that Bradley Beal is looking for a max contract, 5 years, $250 million. Okay? I don't expect the Knicks to make a run at Bradley Beal. I don't expect that to happen. But between Bill, Levine, DeAndre Ayton is another possibility that's out there. I know he's going to be a restricted free agent, but the Suns are looking to sign and trade him. Who do you think will be the best fit to play alongside Brunson? Because let's say Brunson's already wrapped up, and the Knicks, let's say they get Brunson via sign and trade, right? So you give up, a $27 million on what you already have, and you still got $36 million in cap space. Who would be that other player that you would see come in and play with Jalen Brunson that the Knicks can legitimately pursue to improve this team?
Well, shameless plug. Because that's what my show is pretty much going to be about. It's going to be your wish list. As far as
but hold on, but before I go, I just want to. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I just want to highlight the two sides of it, right? Let's say the Knicks sign and trade for Brunson. Essentially, what they're doing is they've given up 27 or whatever it is in amount of assets, or 20, because I don't think Dallas can take on that much. $20 million in assets of what they currently have that would be like players or whatever. Plus some picks, and they get back Brunson, right? So that frees up that cap space. Let's say $7 million of it is gone, right? Now you're talking $28 million in cap space left over. So there's a sign and trade scenario. Or they sign Brunson outright to $27.5. Now you got $9 million in cap space. You still have all your assets. So it's two ways the Knicks can go about it. What do you think is the most realistic scenario for them to do?
I mean, you could still do both. Even with that $9 million cap space, that's $9 million you could absorb, which means you have to send back less money to match someone else's contract in the sign and trade. So
right, I was saying it's $9 million away from the $9 million. Let's 36 minus the $9 million that they absorb. So we're talking $28 million of free cap space that they have in a sign and trade scenario.
I know that was the first situation. I'm saying the second situation where you only have the $9 million in cap, you can still do the signing. You don't have to find a $9 million player. Like you can still find a 27 million, or you know what I mean. But as far as my wish list, because that's
not the question though.
I mean, you saying best fit?
No, he's saying which direction,
which route would I prefer?
Yes.
I think my preferred route is the sign and trade with Brunson and having the cap space, that 27 or whatever cap space available to bring the next guy in, because at that point now you can deal directly with the free agent available, and you don't have to negotiate, and it's only two sides that have to agree, as opposed to the sign and trade where the third team has to agree. If that answers your question correctly.
Yep, I understand.
I would go the first route, because I think that I'm not high on this free agent class. So if you sign Brunson into cap space, now you can deal with 27 teams or 30 teams, 28, 29 teams or 30 teams potentially with the assets that you have. Whereas if you sign and trade for him, who's available in free agency for you to sign? Harden is going to probably re-sign with Philadelphia. Beal is probably going to re-sign with, like, what star or different maker can you get in free agency if you do a sign and trade? So my preference would be signing with the cap space, use your young guys and your assets to see what's available on all of these teams throughout the NBA and trade.
Okay, and I mostly agree with you, Queen. I still think the Knicks are going to try to develop some of these players that they have on the roster, not trade them as of yet. I think the reason why we got rid of Noel, Kemba, and Burks, like all the fans been clamoring for the whole season, is because I think the Knicks are going to move in that direction for this season, right? But I think ultimately what's going to happen is the Knicks are going to move off of some of these young players. If not now, definitely going to be next season. And I think that option is still on the table. We don't have to swing for the fences for everything this particular season. I think the flexibility is still there for us to be able to make those moves next season. During the course of the season, I think Fournier might be an attractive asset. We still have who else? Contract that's coming off the books. Derrick Rose, I think, is going to be very, very attractive for a team that's going to be in playoff contention or contention for a title. So I think
that would still be this year making that move.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, not now. I mean, just
before the deadline.
Yeah, or at the deadline for a trade for something like that. So I think there's still opportunities for the Knicks to get better. Even if Jalen Brunson is the end-all be-all for free agency as of right now, as it comes to tomorrow, I still think there's a lot of moves the Knicks can make during the course of the season and the next offseason to improve the team. Next, moving right along to what does this mean for RJ Barrett? So we talk about bringing in Jalen Brunson, finally getting the Knicks a point guard. But what does this mean for RJ Barrett, for Obi Toppin, for Emmanuel Quickly? How do you think this move by bringing in Jalen Brunson affects the development of the young guys? I'm going to start with Tony.
I do not believe it affects anybody on this team negatively. I think he's only going to make everybody better. And that's not me saying he's a true facilitator or anything like that. But one thing I know he is, like, and I don't think there's a question. He's a leader. He's a leader. So he's gonna lead. He's gonna lead this team not only on the court, but by example. And so I think everything is gonna be positive the way he leads this team.
Yeah,
Queen,
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think having somebody who understands when to shoot, when to pass, who's a leader, who knows how to run an offense, I think it's going to help RJ. I think it's going to help Randall if he's here as well, and help the young guys as well. So, yeah, I think he's going to help. If he's the only pick pick up this offseason. It might be another rough one if RJ doesn't take another step and Randall come into form. It may be another rough one.
Salute to 1975 Jamrock, nothing but Knicks. So we're gonna have 3 left-handers on our team now. I never understood why people were so obsessed with that. I mean, what's the difference between having 3 right-handers on a team?
I'll tell you one thing.
In basketball,
Brunson can finish with his right and going right.
Salute to the chat. JM30 says Josh is the smartest guy in special ed. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. David L says Taj was waived. He's not a Knick anymore. I think the Knicks are still going to bring him back once the dust settles and they clear everything. They're still going to have exceptions, which a lot of people don't understand. That if you go over the cap, you have exceptions. The Clippers, there was a lot of talk of the Clippers and the Celtics being 2 teams that absorb Burks and Noel's contract because they had trade player exceptions because they're well over the salary cap and well over the luxury tax, and that's the reason why they were there. And apparently there's some stuff going around on Twitter. The Miami Heat are in contention for Jalen Brunson. So, I mean, I don't want to think about the negative. Let's say, Leon Rose doesn't get Jalen Brunson after all of this. We're talking about it, and it's all over the internet and everything like that. I don't think there's any smoke there. I don't see how they would be able to do it anyway with the amount of salary cap that they have tied up. Maybe they offer a Duncan Robinson or something like that to the Mavericks, but I just don't see that happening. As far as my question, yeah, go ahead. Go
ahead. What kind of loyalty does Brunson have?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the only way it works is if the Mavs play ball. The Mavs would only be playing ball, and the only benefit even in that is that 5th year. You know what I mean? So I don't see that being a realistic thing right now.
I do
for the Heat.
I never count the Heat out.
I never count the Heat out. They went to the Eastern Conference. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals. So first of all, he's going to be in the room with Pat Riley, the closer. So I'm always a little nervous when Pat Riley gets a meeting. But Miami went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Maybe Dallas is not going to be able to improve their team if Brunson walks. So if they get Duncan Robinson, if they get Tyler Hero
and Tyler Hero, that
helps them.
That might fit the Mavs. That might, yeah, you're right. Those 2 shooters around Luka, that they may feel that's more valuable. You seen they took on Bertrand's contract early last year
and if the Knicks didn't sign Murray, banking on this, and Brunson goes ahead and hears this pitch from Miami and say, you know what? I like what they're saying here more than I like what they're saying at New York.
I mean, I don't know. I ain't worried. I always listened to my dad when he told me what to do. So.
No, but here's the thing. The Knicks, I mean, look, they got rid of the veterans, right? I mean, the veterans are gone, so you got more time for the young kids. This is what everybody was was talking about. They want to see the veterans gone and the young kids playing. So I guess this opens up room for them. But you have all this cap space now. What are you going to do with all this cap space? It's either use it or lose it in the NBA. It's not like you can save money for a rainy day. The NBA salary cap, you have to use the money, or else it goes nowhere. So I just don't understand. Now, listen, I'm on the optimistic side. I believe the Knicks ultimately will sign Jalen Brunson. I think that's a done deal. It's been widely reported that that's the case. I think Knicks fans are just kind of overreacting and panicking. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen.
Gosh, he's taking meetings. You think that's an overreaction? He's taking meetings. Now, I don't know if they're doing that so it doesn't look like it's tampering. That's possible.
You got to cover you. You got to cover all the grounds. Nah, I didn't have no guarantee. Like we already know you can't make the announcement first as soon as free agency start. That's how the last guys got caught up. You know what I mean? So you got to give it at least a couple hours, if not 24, to make it look legitimate.
Salute to Gavin from Duval County. Salute to my man. He said, Josh, aka Uncle Fulio, what do you want to see if we don't get Brunson? Levine. We need a guy with star potential. Levine, Bill, somebody like that. I mean, think about it. If the Bulls don't want to give Levine that money, if they even hesitate with that, can the Knicks be able to make him an offer? And let's say we don't get Brunson, but we add someone like Levine to the table, part of our rotation. Can that be the guy?
Without Brunson? Without having a point guard?
I mean, he didn't have Lonzo Ball for most of the season anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I mean, I'm trying to have the Knicks save face here. And I'm not, I don't want to think negative about it, but if we don't get Jalen Brunson after all this stuff that we did, I mean, it's just, you might as well, Leon Rose might as well pack his bags and have his bags back.
Absolutely.
Because again, and Steph, this goes back to what we were talking about the other day. I mean, you can try all you want and you can put us in the best possible situation. And like, this is what the Knicks plan is to do. Like when people say the Knicks don't have a plan, they have a plan. They just got to be able to execute the plan. and that's been the issue for the past few years.
I don't believe they only have one plan anyway. I believe they have things in place. So, and we'll talk about that as well, I guess.
Now, I have a question. Mm-hmm. If we do sign Brunson at 6'1", does that mean Donovan Mitchell is out the picture, who's another 6'1" guard?
Here's my thing on that. And people often use the size and what Brunson does not give us defensively or give anybody defensively as an argument as to why they don't want him. The Dallas Mavericks were not a bad defensive team last year. They were decent. When you're talking about you got a backcourt team. Mm-hmm. Right. And now you got a guy like Brunson and Luka Doncic who does not play any defense. And they were not a bad team. They don't have any rim protection either. You telling me Reggie Bullock was their best defender? Like, you know what I mean? So I'm not necessarily ruling out the Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson backcourt because of size. I think Tibbs does a really good job defensively getting his players where they need to be. And I think there's, even though the Knicks are not perfect defensively, Evan Fournier needs to get better. No question about that. RJ still has ways to go. I think the reason why Brooks was put in there because it gave us a little bit of help defensively. Overall, the Knicks defense is still fine. I'm worried about the offense. I mean, the last 4 years, the Knicks offense has been terrible. Last in the NBA in points per game, 2 out of the last 4 seasons. We were bottom third the last 4 seasons. Points in the paint, bottom third. So we just struggle to score the basketball. And I think in order for us to take that next step, and as far as wins and losses, getting into playoff contention, I think our offense needs to improve. So I'm just really focused on that. I think a Tom Thibodeau team will never be horrible defensively. I think they'll always show up defensively, at least that. Any retort?
I mean, I agree with most of that.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Salute to Primo Miller. He said, rumors circulating around the Charlotte Hornets star LaMelo Ball. Can we go all in for him? Should we throw 3 first-rounders to team trash Jordan? The Hornets not get rid of LaMelo Ball. He's their franchise. I don't see him going anywhere after the next 2 seasons. That's not happening. So I wouldn't think about that. Guys, Zach LaVine is all but signed in Chicago. That deal is done. Okay, we'll find out. And let's see. Antoine Jenkins says, I just lost this comment. I wish we give Brunson $18 million a year. $25 million is so overkill for a 6 feet guy who can't defend, and we still want blank Mitchell Robinson. So listen, Mitchell Robinson is going to get signed no matter what. We can go over the cap to sign him, so it won't be a big deal. Again, Knicks fans are trying to penny pinch the salary cap. The Knicks have we have a lot of salary. Like the Knicks are going to be fine. Let's say we get hypothetically. Let's say the Knicks got Brunson. Let's say we would have got Murray, and we still would have signed Mitchell Robinson. We would have been one of the lowest spending teams in the NBA. Like the money is not that big of a deal when it comes to when you're at the bottom of the NBA as far as salary cap. So for people to be worried about that, to me, I just don't understand why this infatuation with $28 million and those even numbers like that. I just don't understand. Let's see.
Wow. Did you see the breaking news?
What happened now?
Is that true? You want me to bring it up?
Mm-hmm.
What happened now? Wait a minute. Oh no, wait.
I don't know if it's true. Somebody fact check that, please.
Is it Woj? Where's Woj?
Wow.
I don't see it.
See, they got Scotty Barnes. That made Siakam expendable.
Right.
Even though Scotty Barnes is going to have to grow into what Siakam was. But you got to give to get. And this is what I'm saying for Knicks fans. Siakam, and 2 first-round picks. If that is true.
I don't see it yet. What's going on? I don't see it.
All right. Somebody said fake news. So we'll see if that's
okay.
If that's true or not.
So I see it's the Murray thing. The Murray thing still tweeting going around. But wow. So listen, it's already been a lot of stuff happening with this last hour or 45 minutes that we've been on. You guys got any final words and expectations for tomorrow? I know tomorrow's a big day. Do you guys have any expectations or stuff to look out for?
I'm gonna be at work, but I'm probably not gonna turn my volume down tomorrow because I want all the alerts. I want all the alerts, and I don't think the Knicks come to terms anytime early in free agency. I think a couple at the very least 3 to 6 hours pass. I wouldn't be surprised if the announcement is not made until the next day because they got to cover themselves. But I do think it is a done deal.
Queen?
I'm cautiously optimistic. The Knicks got that juju on them. You know what I mean? So Brunson could leave them at the altar, as someone said in the chat. So I'm hoping that the Knicks make 2 moves that improve this team. One with the cap space and the other in the trade market. We shall see.
I'll just say this. I agree with both of you, but my perfect scenario, and I know I mentioned this a while ago. I've been mentioning this for the past year or so. I'm a big DeAndre Ayton fan. If the Knicks can find some way to land him, let's say you get rid of Mitch and you get rid of Randall, and you give DeAndre Ayton, some money, throw a nice package at him. I would like to have him there. And now you clear up that Obi's going to be the 4. So you got a lineup of Ayton, Obi, RJ, Fournier, and Brunson. That sounds like a pretty good lineup to me. I think the spacing is there. I think that gives RJ a lot more room to shine and do what he needs to do. So I'm keeping my eye on that Ayton situation very, very faithfully.
My question to you would be, do you max Ayton, and if so, can you max Ayton and not max RJ?
You can go over the salary cap to sign RJ.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about. Are they financially able? They can do it. I know they can do it. I'm saying because we all have agreed on record that we don't believe RJ should be, full rookie scale max. Ayton is looking for a full rookie scale or rookie scale match. So my question is, if you have to match, if you got to max him out to get him, in turn, I believe you have to max out RJ because of, you know what I mean? Like, he's
Tony,
the guy,
you honestly,
so
you might be.
Do you do it?
Might be right.
Or are you sour on that? Because I know Queen, I would think, if I'm trying to think what you're gonna say, is none of these guys have deserved the max money yet. They haven't proven anything to deserve that yet. But if you got to do it, do you do it?
If I have to do it, I would. It's been that bad. I would do it. And again, this is not me like I don't think Ayton deserves the max. I don't. But I'm just looking at a lineup potentially where it's a little bit more free flowing. The ball doesn't stop. You don't have really many isolation players in that lineup. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm just really high on Ayton. That's all
I think I would do it too. I'm very interested in if the Queen would.
So we talk about Ayton, RJ, and Brunson.
Obi and Fournier.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's okay. It's not something I would be super excited about, but yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
I mean,
the key for this is RJ needs to take that next step.
Yeah, and
because there's no stars in that bunch.
I mean,
just yet.
The key for me is, I think that is a playoff contender, a playoff contention team. Like, I don't think there's no playing with those guys. and then you have a 4-year window of just trying to see where they can reach. You know what I mean? Like if everybody maxes out potential, oh my gosh! But if 2 of them do, I think we're still in good good point, good team.
Let me just highlight this. And I heard this. I think it was Fred Katz from The Athletic. I listened to him on SNY earlier today, and he said since 2011, and the reason why he used 2011 was because that was 2 CBAs ago, collective bargaining agreements ago. There's only been 2 NBA players that have gotten a rookie max contract and didn't have any accolades attached to their name. One of them was Michael Porter Jr., and I forget who the other one was that didn't have. De'Aaron Fox. So we're talking no All-Star game, no All-Rookie, no All Defense, no All-NBA, no All-Star, nothing like that. So those 2 guys, De'Aaron Fox and Michael Porter Jr., were the only 2 that got rookie max deals and didn't have anything accolade-wise to show for it. So RJ getting one wouldn't be something that happens a lot. And that's why a lot of NBA executives don't feel like he deserves one. I personally don't feel like he deserves one. So we'll see. We'll figure this out. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I'm gonna thank y'all for coming on with me. I know this was a really quick show. I just wanted to get in here and get y'all opinions. I know a lot of stuff has dropped while we did this particular thing. Anyone y'all got anything coming up, whether it be Queen's Court, Dope Soul, and Knicks and Bruises?
Yeah, I just dropped a video on free agency and Brunson and Murray. And there's some things I needed to tweak in the video, but I got the text about Murray, so I just dropped it real quick. So I didn't get a chance to edit it the way I wanted to, so please forgive me. I think I mentioned Big Pun, and may he rest in peace, and I meant to say Fat Joe when I said yesterday's prices is not today's prices. But I had to drop it because it would have been old. After this show, it would have been old. So check that out on Dope Soul Sports Talk. Please subscribe if you haven't already.
Look at you editing, for the crowd. I appreciate you, Josh. I just want to tell CP the artist you can't say that this is Josh's show. So you guys shout him out too.
Salute CP.
Shout out to the chat. I'm gonna jump on at like 7:30. Kind of continue this conversation, talk about you guys' wish list. So maybe it's not Brunson, maybe it is, maybe it's Brunson and someone else. I'll open up the channel so you guys can jump in the stream individually and give me your takes. And that's it for me. Appreciate
All right, folks. No doubt. Thank y'all so much for coming on. You heard it here first. 7:30. We're gonna go Knicks and Bruises, and also check out Dope Soul Sports Talk. She released a new video about what's going on with this Knicks free agency. And don't forget, tune into MBK tomorrow. We should have something going as far as at 6 p.m. for our free agent special. Okay, so tune into us. We always gonna have the content right here on MBK. If it ain't here, you ain't gotta go anywhere else but here, ladies and gentlemen. So, right. Tony, Queen, thank you so much, and I'm gone. Peace out.